want to put the discussion in perspective. Getting to this point was a bit of a road. A statewide task force was organized to help advise the commissioner and the department about how to do educator evaluation under the new era and the new rules. The consensus was, and the department has adopted, regulations which empower you at the local district level to work out some of the most complicated questions. So your mission, whether you like it or not, as opposed to should you decide to accept it, is when you go back to your districts and when you meet with your superintendents and administrators as matters of policy or as part of the collective bargaining procedure, what artifacts of student achievement will you identify as appropriate for your district? And that's not going to be easy because a lot of kids don't go to classes with MCAS tested subjects. And there are some areas for which we're trying to develop what those artifacts of student achievement can be. Number two, how much data related to student achievement will actually factor into an educator's evaluation. Number three, for what purpose will the evaluation and will the data be used? Assignments of teachers, promotions, terminations, whatever it might be. And how will that play out and what processes will be put into effect? And the greater question, how can you make this a locally appropriate, constructive tool for helping to improve student achievement and make the district stronger? And several other questions, which I know are larger questions that you'll come up with. So I'm as eager as you are to listen to our presenters and to get the perspectives from Franklin County. And just in closing, we are, again, very happy and very proud to be affiliated with the Franklin County Caucus. We welcome all those of you who've come from greater and longer distances. I think other than those of us who came from the Boston area, maybe the prize for who came the longest might go to Roberta Deering, who came up from Agawam. And for those of you who don't know Roberta, Roberta is the former president of the National School Boards Association, the president from Massachusetts, who takes a national perspective, and as do we, will be looking forward to the conference in Boston in April. So thank you very much, and I'm going to listen just as you will.
Thank you.
Thank you for inviting me here. I'm delighted to be here. Some of you know I have grandchildren who live out in this area, so although they're both away this weekend, so I can't turn this into a trip to visit my grandchildren. But I'm delighted to be here. I retired in August as Deputy Commissioner, and I'm staying on part-time with the department through this year until May to help in the rollout of this issue. So I get to dump all the other things that I did as Deputy Commissioner and get to focus just on educator evaluation, which is the first time in a long time I've gotten to focus on one thing. So I'm looking forward to it, and so it's great to be here. If you look at on the slide, and the regulations are designed to do these 5 things. I know people are worried that they do other things too, but this is what they're designed to do about promoting leaders and teachers' growth and development. That's the primary purpose. The task force that Glenn referred to, and he sat on as a member of this 40-member task force, was really quite adamant in their deliberations that the primary purpose of revamping the educator evaluation system needs to be to promote growth and development of educators. It places student learning at the center using what Jed referred to as multiple measures. We'll talk a little bit more about that. It's also designed to recognize excellence in teaching and leading, set a high bar for professional status, that, tenure, to set a high bar for that, and to shorten timelines for improvement. So if an educator is found performance as unsatisfactory, the notion is to hasten the process where they've got to improve or leave the profession. So those are 5 core purposes, where the educator plays a more active role. Often evaluation is something that's done to people. The task force told us in no uncertain terms that the experience of evaluation for lots of educators is a passive experience, something that's done to them that they don't play an active role in. So the regulations press for having this cycle everywhere that focuses on educators taking charge. These regulations apply to superintendent evaluation, principal evaluation, teacher evaluation, and other administrators, so other guidance counselors, any position that requires a license. So guidance counselors, assistant principals, department heads. It doesn't apply to teaching assistants, paraprofessionals. Doesn't apply to the support staff and secretaries and custodians. So every educator, so this applies to superintendents. So think of this as your superintendent's doing this. And so is kindergarten teacher. They start with a self-assessment. The regulations describe, you've got to look at student data, whatever data you have access to about student learning patterns of the kids you're currently working with, as well as what's your history. So you look at student learning data of a wide sort, whatever you've got access to. And you also look at a rubric. So the self-assessment, you use a rubric that describes performance, and you use data about student learning. So just think of the kindergarten teacher. The kindergarten teacher's done that, and let's say it's a she. She's looked at the data, she's looked at her performance, she's identified strengths of her performance, areas she wants to grow. She proposes 2 goals, at least 2 goals, for her work in the next year or 2. One goal has to deal with student learning. What's she going to accomplish in terms of student learning with her kindergarten kids in the year ahead, or the 2 years ahead? And she's got to identify a goal for her own practice. What is she going to get better at? Maybe she's never taught English language learners, and she's now got some English language learners in her kindergarten class. She's got to get better. So she proposes that she's going to get better at learning how to teach kids whose first language is not English. That would be part of her practice. So you with me? A goal about student learning, a goal about her own practice. She brings that goal, this proposal and that analysis, to the second step. Analysis, goal setting, and plan development. And with her evaluator, she develops a plan for moving forward on those goals. The regulations urge people to consider team goals, like all the kindergarten teachers. So all the kindergarten teachers at the school, or even in the district, could sit down and say, whoa, we've got more English language learners coming in. How about all of us working on learning how better to teach English language learners? Then that could become a team goal. That's the individual goal and the team goal. So you can see how this can contribute to collaboration and teamwork instead of necessarily just individual work. So you develop at step 2 here the goals and the plan for carrying them out. Step 3 is you implement the plan. So the educator's working on the plan. The evaluator may be, as part of the plan, have agreed to provide certain support, certain opportunities for professional development. So the plan gets implemented, and the educator, the kindergarten teacher, along the way is collecting some data to sort of show how she's doing. Or the kindergarten team is collecting some data along the way. This formative assessment and evaluation, in the middle of the cycle, there's a check-in. How am I doing? Am I making progress on the goal? How am I doing? That's the sort of mid-cycle check-in, which we've called a formative assessment or evaluation.